everybody. Welcome back to the MBK Lounge Show. I am so glad you guys decided to tune in again. And you know that this is a show for men, all about men, really trying to help us just be our better selves. This week, we're going to talk about blended families. And you're probably thinking, for what? Here's the thing. Blended families occur way more than you realize. Let me tell you a couple of things. Approximately 16% of U.S. households are considered blended families. It says here around 1,300 new blended families are formed each day. Approximately 40% of all marriages start with one of the spouses having kids. Last point, 65% of all remarriages include somebody who has a child. So why should we talk about it? Because I know some of y'all out there right now are dating somebody who has kids. And it's possible that one of these days you might say, you know what? I think I want to marry her. And if this show was about getting things right, being our better selves, then we want to make sure that when you decide to blend families, that you do it the right way. So this episode is all about blending families, the hard truths, and the healing. Yup. Some stuff might go down that some healing might be required. And you know that every time we get together, it's a conversation that I can't have by myself. Because first you would think, what's wrong with Greg having a conversation by himself? And I have to have somebody here with me to have that conversation. And today, I got my man, Mark Smith.
Hey,
what's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing real good, man. Glad you joined us in the lounge.
Appreciate it.
And so I know everybody is saying, well, who's Mark Smith? So tell us a little bit about you, kind of what you do for a living. Okay. Your family situation, you're married, and all that.
Gotcha. So yeah, my name is Mark Smith. I am pushing 50 years old this year in May.
What?
Yeah. I'm getting up there.
The 5-0.
Big 5-0, man. I'm getting up there. So
yeah.
Married to my lovely wife, Kamala Smith. We'll be married 20 years this year in November.
Okay.
So, but we've been together for 27 years.
Wow.
27 years we've been together, been married for 20. So we've been together longer than I've been a kid. Yep.
Wow.
By trade, I'm an audio engineer. I do home audio, surveillance cameras, anything technical. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And, outside of that, I have other like investment stuff, but pretty much that's it, man. That's me in a nutshell, just family man, just trying to make sure his family stays straight and sane. And that's it. So
when I was sharing, some of the stats about blended families, right? Because that's why we have you here. You are in a blended family, right? Yeah. And we'll talk a lot more about that as we go. But I didn't know that the prevalence of blended families was as high as it is. Had you ever thought about this is common or not common? What were you thinking when I was just sharing just a little bit of that information?
So, what's crazy about it is, as I think back, I grew up in a blended family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
You know what I mean? Like I really had to think about that. Yeah, I grew up in a blended family. I have, biologically, my brother. I have a brother biologically.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, my sister is my biological sister, but she has a different dad. And me and my brother has the same dad. So
I did not know that,
just
man.
Looking back, thinking about that, I grew up in a blended family. It was looking back, it was good the way they blended. Because I think sometimes, my sister's dad wasn't around too much. Okay. So, that's why it was like a tight-knit family. But, there's different situations where you do have the dad that's involved. And,
right.
Blend is really,
we're going to get to that too. So I'm just finding out here in the lounge that you grew up in a blended family. Yep. I was going to talk to you about what you think your situation was like for your kids. But now I could ask you, what was it like for you? Because I have somewhere in here the amount of time that it takes for kids to feel like they're a part of the family. That's just the statistics.
Gotcha.
But once your family was blended, what was that journey like for you? Even though this is a show about trying to help the guys be better at blending, but your perspective of what it was like to be a kid in it might be able to help us see why it's important to blend it right, because you actually went through it.
Right. So in my case, so my sister's older.
Okay.
So she was there before, me and my brother was born. It was her, my mom, my dad, they was together. And then, when my mom and dad got together, me and my brother, Brian, was a product of that marriage.
Right.
But my sister was always there.
Right.
So she was in the household. She was there.
Yeah.
She helped raise us, in that case, it was just a family.
Okay. So it was cool. No. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It was fine. It was just a family, it was occasional situations where, my sister and dad, because they wasn't, biologically, but other than that, I mean, we was raised all together, and that's why it just slipped my mind because I really didn't look at it as blended until just now when we really just talked about it.
And the reason why that's cool, and I can say this up front, that's really the end goal here. The end goal here is, how do we help the fellas if they're in a situation where they're dating someone and or if they're in a situation where they are already married, how to really blend it right? Because there are some things, depending on where people are in the stages of a blended family, there's some truths about it. And just like in any family, there might be some things that, people may need to heal from. So I want to start with when you were dating, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, but I want to start where you were dating and you already have kids. Right.
Got it. So
and she and just talk about dating with kids. Let's start there.
Okay. So
what was that like?
So when me and Cam, started dating, she already had a son. He was 2. I had a son. He was 1.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So in that both instances, so my son's mom was in his life. Okay. Yeah. Yep. And her son's dad was in his life, but he just wasn't around.
Okay. Okay.
So you get the.
I got you. So let me ask you this then. So when you were dating and you had a kid, a son.
Yep.
Was it difficult for you to date even before you met? I know you're a smooth dude. Yeah. Like, man, geez, what you talking about? He wasn't, but you know what I mean? Like was it no big deal when you met people while you were dating, having a son was, not a problem?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I never looked at it as an issue or problem. Okay. I just know that, obviously going into dating, you want to know the relationship between the father, right? If you're, dating a woman and vice versa, you want to know that relationship and that bond. Okay. To know, how you proceed. Yeah. And like I said, the fact that his dad wasn't really involved as much. It was just, an easier. Okay. It was an easier deal in the beginning of dating because obviously you getting to know the person. They're putting on their, false self. Yeah.
Cam, you said you were putting on your false self. Oh, I'm putting a name on that.
So, everybody putting on putting their best foot forward. But at the time, Dwayne, which was, her son, our son, he was, a good kid. Okay. He was around, mama's boy. But I never really had an issue because it was like I knew him since he was 2. Yeah. And that's all, of course his dad, but besides that, I knew him since he was 2. He's 29 now.
So it sounds like you guys didn't have any, a baby mama or baby. I mean, there wasn't any real drama in that regard. And some people
on that side.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I want to assume. Let me slow down.
Right.
Let me slow down. Because everything's been so smooth up until now.
Everything's been so smooth. But on my side,
the hard truths.
yes.
Yeah.
But on my side, it didn't go well in the beginning because, our son Mark, which was my son when we got together, the mom wasn't feeling it
because somebody else, because that's her son, and she didn't want somebody else to.
She didn't want nobody else around them, raising them, stuff. Even though we wasn't together, just it was just that, vindictive, not wanting anything to, around. It's just me and him, and don't want to call nobody else mom.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I can understand that
for quite a while.
So what kind of conversations did you have to have? Because obviously you had been dating, you met Cam, and she becomes, in your mind, in your eyes, at some point, somebody who you're interested in, right? So what were some of the conversations that you had to have, especially as you saw the two of you progressing, right? Knowing that there's somebody else who's like not feeling it.
Right. So, obviously in the beginning it was tough because, both young, didn't have as much experience with blending or even dating with kids, because, Cam just dealt with him when she was with him, and I dealt with her when I was with her. But as far as conversations, it was really just we're together. My thought process was I have to handle this situation over here because it can get real toxic. And it's my job to check or handle, my son's mom. But that didn't go well because it is always in the back of the woman's mind is, okay, well, if you're doing this on your own, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
Mind's wandering, what's going on over there?
Right.
Why can't I be a part of the conversation? But again, we wasn't married yet. So
You're still dating.
Yeah, we're still dating. So I don't think you should be a part of the conversation. Dating, that was my thought process back then.
Right, because it is an evolution, right?
Exactly.
There's no manual, right? But at some point you'll just know if and when that person can be a part of it. But until then, you decided that, hey, you'll just handle it.
Yeah.
Which was, I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask you to say that again, because I think the guys should hear you need to own that part of, I guess, the coming together.
Well, yeah. What you need to do is don't tiptoe the line. You need to let them know you moved on. This person's going to be my person. They're going to be around our son. And, you got to trust that I wouldn't put our son in any harm's way dealing with, the individual that I'm dating. And, you really got to just put your foot down, as a man, just put your foot down and say, hey, this is what it is. This is how I'm moving forward. I want him to be involved, want him to be around. But for a long time, she kept him from me in that regard. It was like, he was there and then, slowly grew apart.
Right.
Me and my son, because of this whole wildness in the beginning. And remember, this is the dating stage.
Yeah. And that's why we got to talk about it, because like I said, before we even came on, I was really thinking about how to blend the families once you've decided and you're in it. But there's a process before you can blend the families. There's a dating blending of families, right? And you're kind of talking about that now. Did it get, so at some point you said to yourself, I think I want to marry Cam.
Yep.
Right. And did you do anything different then? Meaning, was it better, or did you make a decision? Hey, look, I know it's kind of things are happening, but I want to marry her. What was going on at that point when you knew this is the woman I want to be with now?
Right. So, again, at that point, it was just, how do I move forward with, making sure the two kids blend together, take trips, do dates,
Yep.
you know, and include them.
Gotcha.
You know, they was, you know, best of buddies. They
Yes, you
was
said
just,
that.
yeah, they was the best of buddies. They had fun together. They was young. They just knew, you know, we played together. You know, he was like his brother, and he was like, you know, his stepbrother. And, I mean, it was a good time when, you know, when they were together.
Right.
But then, you know, even with dating, it's the same with when you're married with somebody. It's the situation with blend, you know, and I may be jumping forward.
No. We could move forward and backward.
Yeah.
We could time travel.
Yeah, it's like when, depending on which household you're living in or with, you know, you have the son that's there 24/7.
Right.
That's receiving all the love from both.
Right.
Then you got the son that has to go back and forth.
Right, because her son's father wasn't as involved. So,
Correct.
Got you. Okay.
Gotcha. So he goes back and forth, and you know, a lot of times you have to. You get them in a good space, a good cycle, a good structure, and then they leave, develop different structure, different household, different different ways of doing things, and then they bring that back, and then it starts the process all over again.
Wow. So here's what's interesting. One of the things that I was just thinking about was when you're dating someone without kids, like Lisa and I, when we were dating, we had conversations about how do you want to raise kids? You know, what do you believe in? Because I wanted to make sure that she believed in what I believed in, stuff like that.
Yep.
Whereas you're dealing with, you already have kids there and you're managing bringing the two families together, but there's a third or other situation that you have to manage. How did you work your way through that? You just had to go with the cycle with, hey, you have to readjust the kid. Did it cause any issues between you and Cam or, you know, her son? How did you navigate that?
Right. So, you know, and remember, all of this is my story. It's different, you know.
Yes.
Some people don't have to deal with outside, you know, it makes single parents coming together, blended family.
That's right.
That's a totally different, you know, situation.
Yes.
In my situation, it was, I wasn't a single parent. She was. You know, I had his mom was involved and deeply involved.
Right.
And she raised different than we did.
Got you.
You know, even though we was just dating, we had a lot of common goals, common thought process on how we should raise a kid or how we should raise kids that was similar. But, you know, when you have the outside that raises different, you just, again, you got to start over, try to get them in that cycle with, you know, learning how to, you know, pick up after yourself. You know, it's little stuff like that.
That's real though.
That could be a big hindrance on you and your relationship with who you're with at the time, because, you know, it's not that you're doing the bad,
right?
Like beating me or Cam is doing the bad. It's like now we got to bring, you know, what some people consider chaos back, restructure that, knowing that he has to go back and then come back to
and because of who she is, I mean, I think about my kids, right? I'm trying to correlate as best I can and the influences in their life, like their friends.
Yep.
I never thought about what it would be like to raise my kids, and the other influence is their parent.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So they have the right way more than their buddy at school who's a knucklehead or somebody who's smart. Whatever that influence is, good, bad, or indifferent, they're not blood.
Right.
You know, so as I'm listening to you talk, I'm like, wow, that's a whole nother. When you were coming together with Cam and moving forward, did you have anything in place that said, if my kids don't feel the person that I have feelings for Obviously it worked out with you and Cam, but did you have in your own mind when you were dating that, hey, look, if I bring somebody over, and I don't even know how you did that, and my kids were looking at them like, did you say, maybe I need to rethink this? Or was it like, look, I'm a grown man, I'm going to make my own decisions.
Right.
You know, how did the kids play in that? Because I've read a lot of stuff that talked about how people really include their kids in their decision on who they date and how they move forward.
Gotcha. And I think, I guess it's definitely, oh man, all types of dynamics with that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have seasoned people that was older, maybe in their 30s, 40s, just doing that. They've been through it, been through life a little bit more.
Okay.
They grown up.
Right.
Remember, I'm
20.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'm
so
young,
you're making decisions
still,
as a young dude.
Yeah, as a young guy, still, trying to, run the streets and have fun, but still, know like, hey, I got a kid. I'm going to date somebody with another kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just young trying to navigate that. But what I did know is no matter what, that I was going to be fully in their lives. Meaning like I'm going to have some sort of say or some sort of, I'm not just going to just say, you know what, this is too much.
Yeah.
Let me put my hands
That's
up.
a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I never thought that I was going to do that.
So let me ask you this. And it's funny because I'm guessing based on what you just said, you're looking back at your 20-year-old self and the decisions that you made then and how different the decisions were because you were 20 something.
Yep.
So what would almost 50-year-old Mark say to 20-something-year-old Mark about some of the things that you did back then when you were dating? Meaning, how would you bring everything together? How would you direct yourself to say, hey, man, this is what you need to do to bring everything together better?
Gotcha.
What would you say to yourself now looking back?
Gotcha. Knowing now, I would have, from the beginning, when I knew that I was going to be serious about dating Cam, I would have in every way tried my best to bring Cam and my son's Mark mom together, no matter what. This is what it is. You hearing it from me. You hearing it from me.
Right.
Whatever thoughts that you have has nothing to do with me.
Right.
This is who I'm going to be dating. This is who our son's going to be. It would have been a cut concrete instead of a tiptoe dibble dabble. Which I did back in the day. It was like I wouldn't have tried to handle it by myself. Yeah. Because they needed that exclamation point put on it.
Right.
Which is my son's mom needed that exclamation point.
Yeah.
They never got that back then.
And it's funny because this show was all about taking lead. You know what I mean? Not just this episode, but it's like, we were designed to make decisions. We were designed to direct and guide and show. And so I not that your answer needs my approval, but I'm hoping the fellas that are watching it are like, hey, I'm doing some things where I'm tiptoeing around it. Yeah. I got people, I'm in the middle, and really the best thing for me to do is if I'm going down this path with this person, I really do need to bring these two together and let's resolve whatever needs to be resolved. So if you would say that to your 20-something-year-old self, it sounds like the issues lasted a little longer than they probably should have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's years.
Years.
It was years.
Even after you were married.
Right. So, yeah. So remember, we wasn't married. It was like 7 years.
Okay.
So
either way, married or not, you're saying it was just a long time where you were dealing with the back and forth of the issues.
The issues, yeah.
Okay.
At least, at least it was at least 4 or 5 years.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So eventually you get married. When you got married, I know you had...
So before. So
Yeah, go ahead, man.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, because I just want to make sure.
Yeah. You know, control the
I want to
narrative.
make sure the timelines add up.
Lay them out there.
So before we got married,
Right.
you know, there was me and Cam, there was times we was together, not, you know, whatever.
Right.
And during those times, I done had 2 other kids before we got married.
Yep.
It was before we got married.
Yep.
And then right before we got married, that's when our last son, Jaden, when we was, you know, that was
Right.
So in that span, 5 kids.
So
She had Dwayne.
Yep.
I had Mark coming and dating.
Yes.
And then I had Brooklyn, which is my daughter.
Yep.
And then probably like a year or so later, I found out that I had my son, Makai.
Okay.
That came later. Like I found that out like when he was 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that came on down the line.
Okay.
And then we had Jaden together. So Jaden and Makai are the same age.
Got you.
Yeah.
See, so here's why I'm glad that you laid all that out. Because I'm hoping that whoever ever watches just realize that, it just got real in the sense that you guys you met when you each only had a son.
That's it.
A piece.
Yeah.
And then while you were together, on again, off again, there are other children being introduced to your situation.
Yeah.
But when you came on, you said, I'm married, everything is good, which is why everybody, Mark, is here. So in lieu of all of what you just shared, you're on the show to help people really blend families, because in the end, y'all are thriving. You know what I'm saying? So I really want everybody to understand what you just said and why you're here, because you got a good thing going on, but it wasn't easy getting there. And you've already laid out some hard truths already with your son's mom and navigating that. Man, I had other questions I was going to ask, but not you laid out the timeline. I am going to come back to that, but I think people need to understand, and I know Cam's not here, and that's intentional, because I really want it to be your side and what it was like for you, and you can do your best to but man, how did y'all navigate that such that y'all could be in such a good spot? You know what I mean? Like, how did you still get to the I do? We're going to talk about after the I do,
got you. Yep.
but I want to still stay in the, you know what I mean? This is all happening for me. I didn't know I was going to. So talk about that. Like, how did y'all still get to the I do after that?
It was just a lot of humbleness on my end. Grace, of course, that, she was able to, still want to be with me,
Saint Cam.
Yeah, right. Yep, it was just, it was a lot of grace, a lot of conversations. And it was hard.
Was it any counseling at all, or was it more?
Yeah, there was counseling.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
Pastor.
Yep.
During that time, we moved from Philly to Delaware, and it was counseling after marriage, though. It wasn't counseling before.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't counseling before.
Okay.
The counseling after marriage came, on, like how do we blend this?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna dive deep into it being blended.
Yeah.
But getting to a good space of it being blended, because
Got you.
the blend is there because we made that covenant to be with each other, knowing that, we have
all
the Brady
kids.
Bunch all over. Yeah.
So,
but,
go ahead.
Yeah, but it was like,
you reliving it, man.
Yeah, reliving it. So you gotta. All right, let me just say this. So I know there's brothers out there that's dealing with, and it all depends on, you know, what side of the aisle they are. As far as, are they the guy coming in to the family that's been there and then living in the household? Because again, whoever's in the household gets all the 24/7
Right. That's
care.
That's right.
24/7 access. They got love from both sides, you know, whether it's, you know, their father, not father, whatever. Then the kids coming on the weekends,
Right.
they get, they still get that love,
Right.
but during the week,
Right.
they're only getting it from over there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was always a struggle on why I have to overdo it on the weekends.
Right. So it can last.
Yeah. So it can last as opposed to, you know, during the week.
Right.
It's just, it is what it is.
Let me ask you this, and you talked about how when everything played out, you eventually got to I will.
Yep.
And because then I want to move into beyond the I will, because I now understand that once you knew you were going to be in the covenant, it's like, okay, now that we're going to make sure we do this right. So that's actually one of the actions that people, like, once you got there, you're like, hey, we're going to need some help. And that's one of the overarching themes that sometimes men, we don't think we should do. Like, man, I got this, even though it's a mess, right? Or it could be better. Everything isn't, I don't want to offend anybody, because I understand that when you get help, it doesn't always mean you're in a place of terribleness. It just means that you recognize and to get to somewhere you want to go. But if there was one thing that you think that you did to get her or to get the situation to continue forward so that you could do the I do, what would you say that was?
That was just being intentional on asking for forgiveness for the acts leading up to that, and just really reassuring her that, I mean, this is it. You know, we together. I did what I did, but we're here. We have these kids that she could have said, listen, I mean, yeah, they yours. You do whatever. We over here. But she knew in the long run that you know, that wouldn't have sustained.
She could have gerrymandered it like
exactly.
Who's coming with us?
Right. Yeah. But you know, it was it was just for me, it was just a humbling experience to just say, hey, I'm good with you, but we have these kids that need loving. It's not their fault.
Right.
They didn't do anything.
Right.
It was all on me. I did it.
Right.
So let's not, you know, deprive them of love and everything that, you know, Mark and Dwayne got from the beginning.
Right.
They was, you know, they was it. They was
they were chilling, right?
Yeah. Now you got 3 others, and that's taken away from, you know what I mean?
Right. The I had something in here that talked about when you said how they could have it nearly 80% said their children's comfort and acceptance of a new partner was essential before progressing the relationship. It talked about just some of the things that the kids go through, you know, the emotional attachment for their kids, concerns about introducing a new partner. You're talking about not just introducing another partner, but other kids now. You know what I mean? So I think what's cool about you guys' story is that your commitment to each other and to the kids and moving forward in the right way, especially since you grew up in a blended family where it seemed like everything was good. So you kind of had a blueprint. Did you tap into that? So you get to a point where you're like, okay, we're going to get married. Did you tap into any of what you saw when you were growing up, that your parents, and from a blending standpoint, like, okay, now that I'm in a blending situation, I want to do some of the things that they did, or not? Like, what were some of the things that you knew you wanted to do once you got in it with Cam to move forward?
Yeah. I mean, I knew that I wanted to, no matter what, even though people say it's hard to do that and you can't, I wanted to make sure that they was all equally treated. I wanted to make sure that if one had a recital, if we went to that one, if others had one, we went to there. We can't miss it just because, the other parent's going to be there or whatever, because it could get, a little, stomach could churn a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that at least that for me, that I was at everything, no matter what. So no one could feel slighted on, hey, you went to, Mark's graduation or recital, but you didn't come to mine. Or, that could be a big deal.
Oh yeah, because that could happen even if it's not blended. Kids will be like, you always going to Johnny's and you don't go to come to mine, and so it sounds like you owned it. Yeah. This show was about the truths, and you've been dropping the truths, but you're talking about where I think the piece that's integrated here is the healing, right? Talk a little bit about the healing that was needed.
Gotcha.
Because of, like you said, you owned it, and you were honest, you opened up, and she believed you. Like, let's face it.
Yeah.
She had to decide.
She did.
It's just dude trying to,
She did.
She believed you. And what's cool is that it paid off, right? She took a risk on Brother Mark, but from a healing standpoint, because there's open wounds here. How did you? I think because you were the doer of it.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe some of the healing. I don't want to say that it was her healing, maybe not as much for you, because I think that since you're together, you could still speak to it. So talk a little bit about the healing that was required. How'd you navigate it? Was it the counseling? Just talk a little bit about the healing that was needed.
Yeah. So, just so everybody know that it wasn't, we all know that it wasn't just peaches and cream the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, it was, and I know most people deal with it. It's like, again, it's this that love that a mother has for their own biological, that guys want to see that same love instilled in the kids that's coming in, the outside kids or whatever, and it's hard to put that on, regardless if it was a situation like mine where I, did the cheating or whatever. It could be a guy that, had the child before, but in a guy's mind, they always want it to be 100% equal around the board. Again, meaning, hey, we want to take a trip.
Right.
We want to go somewhere. Okay. Who's going? For me, the question shouldn't be who's going. We all going.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So guys, I know from that standpoint, want to hear their woman be like, okay, let's plan something where we all go, or instead of, whoever's in the household now, we can go somewhere.
So then how do you cultivate that? Right. So, and that's why I want to jump in, because I want to make sure that people know how you cultivate it. Because obviously it happened.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it happened.
And how did you get it to happen? Not make it happen. How did you get it to happen?
Really, for me, it was just, again, it's one of those things where you just putting your foot down, saying, this is what I really feel. This is what I really want, and just trying to do whatever you can to make it happen. Because a lot of guys don't say nothing. Right. When it comes to that stuff, they get humble. They want to just make sure the household is good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Happy wife, happy life, household is good.
Stuff festers.
Yeah, stuff festers. You over there in the corner, like, saying to yourself, I really want it this way, but you never say nothing.
Right.
Because you don't want to bring up old wounds.
Right.
You don't want to, poke the bear.
Right.
I didn't mind that. I said, this is what it has to be.
Right.
Regardless of everything. This is what it has to be. This is what I want it to be. And we got to come together with a happy medium to make it happen. So I voiced my opinion.
Got you.
Instead of just being timid.
Yeah.
And saying, I know I did all the things bad.
Yeah.
I can't say nothing to this woman.
Yeah.
No.
Well, because I think so there was some negotiation. It sounds like, listen, you admitted what you did.
Yeah.
Y'all got married. Mm-hmm. You had counseling to help you get through it. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you're saying now, I know what I did, but we need to openly communicate. Yeah. We need to talk these things through, because Cam, who's not here, if people haven't figured it out, she's a fantastic person and she's reasonable. Now I can say that because, I know her, at least on the outside. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys had your clashes, but I think you guys had some commonalities, right? So, which is a part of how you knew you wanted to marry her, right? Mm-hmm. I'm guessing you guys had some common beliefs. You believe in God, you know what I mean? And all those, I don't want to answer for you, but it I guess that all played a role in why you were successful.
Yeah. And she, all about family, her family was involved in her life with her son and her aunts, and and I had the same thing. So it was a family oriented, and I could see that, and I wanted that.
Right.
And knowing that, I wanted my kids to have that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it made it easier to have to speak up, because you knew that you were speaking up in an area where y'all had common values, common goals, which made it easier for you to speak your mind.
Right.
Because it wasn't something outlandish. You're talking about, hey, we one family.
Right.
So we need to operate like one family.
Exactly. And it wasn't, and me talking about it wasn't about me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was like, take me out the picture.
Right.
If I did or didn't or whatever do what I did, how would you want your son to be, considering that his father wasn't around?
Right.
I was the father figure since he was 2.
Right.
So now, now we got these kids that's coming into play.
Right.
Are you gonna be the mother figure?
Right. Right.
I did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was
kind of her turn, right?
Yeah. It was just kind of like, and I get that she didn't have to, but I'm glad that she did. Yeah. And I'm glad that we are here where we are right now.
Yeah. I if you had to kind of share some things with we talked a lot about the front side, and obviously, again, he wouldn't be here if he wasn't in a really good situation, and I'm hoping that we've helped some brothers from I'm dating, I'm thinking about moving forward. But if there were some things that you wanted to share with people, whether they're in the dating stage or some things that they are married, and some things you might want to share with them from your point of view, what are some of those things that you would share? I always give everybody kind of some final thoughts for people to kind of walk away with.
Right.
I wish we could keep talking, but eventually we're going to have to, you got to go home.
Oh, man. So, the only thing I say to brothers is just that, you know what you want when it comes to the kids. Mm-hmm. You know how if you're the head of the household and you're the man in the house, you know that if you're dealing with a blended family, put in perspective of just because that individual didn't come from your loins, or just because on the flip side, the woman didn't give birth, how would you want them to be loved? Mm. How would you want, would you love their kid the same way you love yours? That's the main key to a blended family, is just treating them the same. You know what I mean? No matter what obstacles come through, no matter what outside influences, mm-hmm. you go 100% for your son, and mm-hmm. In a relationship. Mm-hmm. Why not do the same for theirs? And vice versa.
Got it.
That's it.
And what would you say about making the relationship work between you and the woman that you're married to? Anything that you would say when it's a blended family? Anything in particular there?
Right. Well, for guys that's dating, I would say that's a real big discussion to have before y'all walk down the aisle. You know, really just digging deep on how do you parent? How do you discipline? How do you show your love? How do you project your love? And then just ask them that simple question while y'all out eating on a date. You know, you say you do this, and this. Would you do that for mine? Bringing that into
So
the
it
house.
still goes back to the kid.
It's always going back to the kid. You know what I mean? Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
And then if she's saying all the right things, you know, now it's putting her words to the test. Okay,
Right.
Let's prove it. You know, I'm gonna do that for yours. You know, but then once you get into marriage, all it is just pretty much, you know, for people who, again, it's always starts back to dating. You got to date before you marry.
Yeah, that's
You know
right.
what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's the same formula.
It's the same formula.
In terms of getting to know the person, what they're all about.
Exactly.
So, yo, man, I can't thank you enough for coming in and sharing, you know, the hard truths and the healing with the fellows today, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Thanks,
problem.
Mark.
Yeah.
So, listen, everybody. You heard it today. This show was about, you know, blending families, the hard truths, and the healing. And Mark has shared a lot. And I'm hoping that wherever you are, if you're in a relationship where you have kids and the person you're interested in has kids, whatever that situation may be, that fellas, you got to own it. You got to do what's right for the person that you're interested in. And you definitely got to do what's right for the kids that are involved. So thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate y'all. See you next week.